welcome. It's Doug Diamond here. Welcome to the Diamond Report Live. Hope you guys are doing well and had a good weekend. It's 10:05 p.m. on June 9th, 2024. Thought that was a pretty neat video. I think Greg touches on a lot of important thoughts in that whole thing. And obviously, the main path that really matters, he went through those 5 different paths, but the main path, of course, is Jesus Christ. So just keep that in mind. He would probably call that religious dogma, just based on some of his other videos. But no, Jesus Christ is the only true path. He says, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And I believe him. That's in John 14:6. Anyway, I hope you guys have had a good weekend, and let's get into the news. We've got quite a few things to look at tonight. Thought we'd start out with this one just because it caught my eye. You might recognize the name in there. That's why it caught my eye. The HMS Diamond has been hit directly with ballistic missiles, according to Yemen. That is a UK warship, the HMS Diamond. Pretty interesting, huh? Kind of a fuzzy picture here, but this is on HalTurnerRadioshow.com. Says the group of Houthis that run the country of Yemen announced this morning that the UK destroyer, the HMS Diamond, was directly hit during an attack today. The Houthi spokesman announced this latest operation is in response to the U.S.-Israeli Nuseirat massacre, which, yet again, the Israelis continue to massacre. They continue to genocide. And in my opinion, it is not just part of war. I know many of you guys, or a few of you guys out there have said that in the past, and I tend to disagree. I think this is a literal genocide. It's the reverse of the Holocaust, except it's the people who were being murdered previously who are doing the murdering now. So it says, according to intelligence information, both U.S. and Israeli forces came ashore in Gaza via the pier set up by the U.S. The troops then stole an aid truck and used it to drive to Nuseirat, where those troops opened fire upon Palestinians for an alleged hostage rescue. Who knows if that's true or not? Photos circulating on social media show IDF troops being accompanied by troops in different uniforms undertaking the operation. Allegations circulating say that they were American troops. Not a surprise there, if that's true. Anyway, yeah, that is on HalTurnerRadioshow.com. HMS Diamond. Thought that was odd. No relation. And let's see. Let's move on to needtoknow.news. We've got a few articles from there to look at. The World Economic Forum admitted cash will soon be illegal. Yep. CNBC News reports that hundreds of smaller U.S. banks are at risk of failure. There's a war on cash, and many businesses are refusing cash. The WEF, World Economic Forum, just held a summit to discuss the banning of physical cash in favor of an all digital currency system. Of course. Private bankers have wrested control over money from governments, and central bank digital currency gives globalists even more power. They've helped the push to eliminate cash and establish contact lists via Sky passports. This is all about control and surveillance. Yeah, and don't be too excited that Klaus Schwab will be stepping down. I think it's only stepping down from taking a public beating, perhaps. I think he'll still be front and center in the day-to-day operations. I would love to be wrong, but my guess is he's not going anywhere. He just won't be the public face anymore, is what I'm thinking. Sources close to the BRICS nations pointed to October, when they will officially announce their dollar killer, their own currency backed by gold and commodities. The BRICS. Congressman Ron Paul, who accurately predicted the 2008 collapse, says the demise of the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency is inevitable. I think we all realize that at this point. So anyway, but there's a timeline there. October is what that's saying in this article, at least. Chinese criminals steal billions in card draining scheme that siphons gift cards I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this before. I don't think I have, at least not in the way it's presented here. It says U.S. Department of Homeland Security has launched a task force to combat Chinese organized crime rings. So Chinese organized crime rings in a scheme known as card draining. So here's what it is, and here's how they're doing it. Card draining is when criminals remove gift cards from a store display, open them in a separate location, and either record the card numbers and the pins or replace them with a new barcode. The crooks then repair the packaging. This is a lot of work here. They repair the packaging and return to the store and place the cards back on the rack. When a customer unwittingly selects and loads money onto a tampered card, the criminal is able to access the card online and steal the balance. Americans are expected to spend $200 million on gift cards this year. A survey by AARP found that almost a quarter of Americans have given or received a card with no balance on it, presumably because the money had been stolen. Retail theft should be prosecuted because it can lead to more serious crimes and high losses. Yes, but it's okay if the illegals are doing it, which sounds like that's what's going on. Chinese illegals, at least. People can protect themselves by buying gift cards that sell them from stores that keep them locked in cases, and buying cards online or spending the gift quickly. So I didn't know if you guys knew about that. I thought that was kind of strange, because they always tell you, well, at least the few times that I've bought cards in stores, they tell you, no, they don't, there's nothing loaded on them until you take it to the cash register. So it'd be just like stealing a piece of plastic, not really worth anything. But it does have the PIN number and stuff on there. You usually have to scrape off the back or whatever to see that number. So they're going through a lot of work here, but apparently it's working. So I didn't know if you knew about the card draining scheme by the Chinese. Leave it to the Chinese, huh? Wow. The CERN report. Let's see here. Got a few headlines here we'll just look at. DEI fail. Navy fires female commanding officer of the USS Somerset, citing, quote, loss of confidence in leadership. It's a DEI fail. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. A DEI fail. And I saw this article here on Revolver.news that had a pretty funny explanation of DEI. They're calling DEI as meaning didn't earn it. So we'll start using that. Instead of diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's didn't earn it. So there you go. Top Democrat strategist, you know him and love him, James Carville, says Biden should not have run for re-election. So according to old Carville, we'll see what happens. He was calling the shots back in the Clinton days. Not so much now, I don't think, but he still has people that listen to him. Fear sets in for Biden's handlers as they realize their gaslighting isn't working. This one's for my Wyoming friends. There's a few of you out there. Teton Pass collapse in landslide could spark worker shortage in Jackson Hole. Thought this was pretty wild. Look at this. It says, on Saturday morning, the Wyoming Department of Transportation shared a Facebook post from the governor. The post included footage of a landslide that swallowed a section of Teton Pass, which connects Jackson Hole with the communities around Victor, Idaho. So you can see it. Huge chunk, most of the road is gone. Drone video of the catastrophic failure of Wyoming Highway 22 over Teton Pass. That's pretty amazing. Not sure exactly what happened, but just collapsed. It's going to be a rough summer for employees and businesses. So if you're headed to Wyoming and this area, you might want to keep that in mind. And then technocracy.news, we've got a couple, I guess 3 headlines here on this site. Cognitive warfare, mental manipulation, tyranny of digital transformation. Technocracy's official definition starts with technocracy is the science of social engineering. It's a pretty concise definition of what it is. The science of social engineering. Because a digital prison is distasteful for most people, it is necessary to condition them to accept their enslavement. In other words, a little bit of cognitive warfare goes a long way. When a person is captured by this process, or as they say in Canada, process, he can be made to think not just parrot like the captor. So that's on technocracy.news. Then this one, Transhumanist Features Humanity in the Crosshairs, Part 2. Part 2 of this academic series on transhumanism shows the start of so-called convergence science. Convergence science, the merging of nanoscience, bioscience, information technology, and cognitive science. NBIC. That's all together. Nanoscience, bioscience, information technology, and cognitive science. NBIC was a pointed effort to create transhumans, and it was conceived by NASA, the National Science Foundation, the National Science and Technology Council, and most notably the DoD, Department of Defense, under the direction of the White House. You will see why the military was in charge of Operation to oversee the maximum uptake of non-approved. Yep. And Trump made sure it all happened, but apparently Operation was a Department of Defense operation. And this is part 3 in this series, Transhumanism, Bio-Nano Governance in Terms of Use for Humans 2.0. When Agenda 21, aka Technocracy and Sustainable Development, was adopted in 1992 by the UN, all resources on the planet were in view. Nobody got the picture that human beings are resources to be managed along with cattle, sheep, pigs, etc., all of which are already well into transformation. Now humans 2.0 are being created. Anthony Patch has been calling them Homo Novus for some time. Yeah, and I tend to agree. The people who've taken the people that have gotten the actual nanotech in them and didn't get just a saline are certainly on their way to becoming human 2.0, although that doesn't mean it's better. It's not an upgrade, believe me. So that article on technocracy.news as well. Okay, reclaimthenet.org. A few of the headlines on this site. Meta to focus on censoring misinformation and hate speech ahead of the UK election. Who gets to decide what is misinformation? Well, Meta does, obviously. Yeah, this is the UK election coming up, I guess. They're going to be calling the shots on what is misinformation. Dr. Phil blasts TikTok for banning Trump interview promo. Frustration mounts as Dr. Phil challenges the platform's opaque moderation practices and their impact on freedom of information. Yes, but it is the Chinese we're talking about. Instagram bans gender-critical, quote-unquote, charity ahead of UK elections. The ban highlights growing censorship of gender-critical voices. Is there really such a thing as gender-critical? It's only critical to the people who have made it their religion. Free speech video platform Odyssey finds new life with Arweave integration. Forward Research's strategic acquisition of Odyssey promises to secure the video platform's future amid regulatory threats. So for you Odyssey users out there, you know who you are. It's good news, I guess. I don't really use Odyssey. I've uploaded a few videos for some clients there, but I don't really want to get into using crypto. And to me, that's kind of how it, if you're on Odyssey as a creator, you pretty much have to be into crypto. Costco's bid to turn customer data into profits. Everything is a data grab, which we've been talking about that quite a bit on this show. Biden's new frontier targeting misinformation around the world behind the controversial programs and grants. Yep, something that the WEF is also targeting, and the WHO. Misinformation, which just means truth you're not supposed to know. Australia's opposition calls for extended online age verification, digital ID, to combat anonymity. Australia's major political parties support digital ID. Yeah, so it's okay if they have digital ID as long as it's okay to have ID for voting, I should say, as long as it's digital ID, which will also be tied to your money and everything else. Anyway, that's all on reclaimthenet.org. U.S. admits role in Israeli rescue operation that killed over 200 Palestinians. So this is something I mentioned earlier tonight. as far as the, quote, rescue operation. The United States has denied ongoing allegations that it was militarily involved in Israel's raid Saturday on a central Gaza Hamas stronghold, with which returned alive 4 hostages who had been kidnapped on October 7th. Well, the one thing I can say is that there were no U.S. forces, no U.S. boots on the ground involved in this operation. We did not participate militarily in this operation, so says U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in a CNN interview. And they always tell the truth there. There have been widespread claims that U.S. Special Forces advisors were on the ground in some capacity, but this hasn't been met with confirmation. However, it has been reported that a U.S. official told Axios the U.S. hostage cell in Israel supported the effort to rescue the 4 hostages. The precise level of, quote, support and details of this involvement hasn't been revealed. Yes, but they're saying that there's no evidence that the U.S. helped, and then they're saying, but it hasn't been revealed yet. So they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, it sounds like. Despite the freeing of the 4 hostages being clearly a big win and victory for Israel, which the White House also congratulated, it quickly emerged that the refugee camp at UNCENSORED suffered a massacre during the operation, which is what I mentioned earlier. The Palestinian side is saying that at least 274 people were killed, mostly civilians, in the large-scale attacks which reportedly paved the way for an elite counter-terror team to go in and rescue the captives while under heavy fire. Israel launched significant strikes in the surrounding area to protect the Israeli elite hostage rescue team. So they did that, but they also killed 274 people. So anyway, there's some embedded tweets and video and stuff here if you're interested in that one. It's on the Liberty Beacon. And one more from that site. Mistrial, ? Trump hush money judge suggests juror may have had predetermined guilty verdict. Mistrial is what they're saying. This is just an article that it could go that way, not saying that it will. The judge in the Trump hush money case, Juan Merchan, just issued a very strange note to both parties indicating that a comment made on the court's Facebook page suggests that one of the jurors may have arrived at a guilty verdict before the end of the trial and told a family member, "My cousin is a juror," this is the quote, "My cousin is a juror and says Trump is getting convicted. Thank you, folks, for all your hard work," end quote. Reads the Facebook post highlighted by Merchan. So there it is. And then here's the screenshot, I guess. Right here. From Michael Anderson. So yeah, they were out there bragging before it even happened. So my guess is, though, yeah, they're bringing attention to this, but it probably won't matter. That's my thinking on this, but we'll see where it all goes. So potential mistrial. We don't know yet. All right, RT.com. Key minister quits Netanyahu's war government. Benny Gantz has resigned from the cabinet, accusing the Israeli PM, meaning Netanyahu, of failing to achieve a, quote, true victory over Hamas. A key member of Prime Minister Netanyahu's war cabinet, Benny Gantz, has announced his withdrawal from the country's war government. Gantz, a former defense minister without portfolio who entered the war cabinet shortly after the beginning of the ongoing conflict with the Palestinian militant group Hamas, last October announced his resignation on Sunday, citing a disagreement with Netanyahu's policies. This is the quote, "Netanyahu is preventing us from progressing towards a true victory," he said in a statement. "For this reason, we are leaving the emergency government today with a heavy heart, yet wholeheartedly." Gantz also called upon Netanyahu to set a date for new elections, urging him to, quote, "not let our nation be torn apart," end quote. It says Netanyahu took to X to lament Gantz's resignation, urging him not to quit the battle, quote unquote, and claiming it is actually time to join forces instead. The PM claimed he's ready to work with any Zionists party willing to assist in bridging victory over our enemies. Yeah, and killing everyone in their path. So that is on RT.com. And then this one too. I thought this one was kind of interesting. It's sad that this guy passed away, especially when you see what happened to him. But there's a little bit more. I wanted to look at this and see what you guys thought about it. U.S. moon mission astronaut killed in a plane crash. The 90-year-old veteran pilot's aircraft could be seen pulling out of a dive too late to avoid hitting the water below. So this is the guy here, picture taken 1968. So astronaut William Anders on the Apollo 8 mission, December 1968, which is just a few months before, less than a year before the supposed moon landing in July of 1969. So the whole timing of this is really odd to me. But anyway, let's look at what happened. It says William Anders, an astronaut on the first lunar orbit mission, died when the plane he was piloting crashed off the San Juan Islands in Washington State on Friday. The family is devastated. He was a great pilot, and we will miss him terribly, retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Greg Anders told AP, confirming the death of his father. In a video shared on social media, the plane is seen coming out of a loop and impacting the water before bursting into flames. The FAA records the flight data and confirmed that the 90-year-old's vintage Air Force T-34 Mentor airplane crashed. The FAA told the New York Post that the pilot was the only person aboard the plane. So let's take a look at this. And my guess is you probably haven't seen this, so let's take a look here. Yeah, you can see it smashing into the water there. It says U.S. Coast Guard Pacific Northwest stated on Friday that they responded to reports of a plane going down sometime before 11:45 a.m. between Orcas and Jones Island. They're conducting search and rescue efforts alongside San Juan County's Sheriff's Office. So, retired Major General Anders was the photographer behind the iconic Earthrise shot of the Earth in the background of the lunar landscape taken while the U.S. Apollo 8 lunar orbit mission happened in 1968. So that got me thinking. I was kind of investigating this. I remembered seeing the Earthrise photo. I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. So let's take a look at this video. This is a video that is a remembrance video that NASA, Never a Straight Answer, just posted to YouTube on June 7th. So like the day after the crash, or right around there. June 7th was Friday, so I guess it was the same day of. We mourn the passing of Apollo astronaut William Bill Anders at the age of 90. And he's in this video. It says he was the backup pilot for the Gemini 11 and Apollo 11 flights, and was the lunar module pilot for Apollo 8. Lunar module pilot. The first lunar orbit mission. On Christmas Eve in 1968, Anders turned his camera toward Earth and captured the legendary Earthrise photo. So let's watch this video and let me know what you guys think about this.
The youngest Apollo 8 crew member, lunar module pilot William Anders, 35, was a space rookie until this flight. He's a major in the Air Force and also a graduate of Annapolis. In addition, he has a master's degree in nuclear engineering.
We have commit. We have liftoff. Liftoff at 7:51.
We went into the shadow of the moon, where we were both in the shadow of the moon from the sun and the shadow of the moon from Earthshine. And it was dark. There were stars everywhere. You couldn't tell which ones they were. There were so many. And I remember looking back and seeing all these stars, and suddenly there was this big black hole. And I got to tell you, the hair went up on the back of my neck, because that was the moon. Busy shooting pictures of the lunar surface for geologic analysis, but mainly for taking pictures of lunar landing sites for upcoming lunar landings. And then suddenly I looked out the window, and here was this gorgeous orb coming up.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty? You got a color film, Jim? Yeah, I'm looking for one. C368. Anything, quick. Here. Oh, that's a beautiful shot.
For me, it made me realize that the Earth was small, delicate, and not the center of the universe. Well, I made the comment somewhere along the line that we went to the moon to explore the moon. What we really did was just discover the Earth. And it didn't really sink in on me for a while, but others picked it up. It sort of gave a kickstart to the environmental movement, and so I think Earthrise will go down in history as an iconic first real view of our home planet, which is very fragile and very delicate.
I must have the feeling that the travelers in the old sailing ships used to have. We've gone on a very long voyage away from home, and now we're headed back, and I have that feeling of being proud of the trip, but still happy to be going back home and back to our home port.
Okay. Well, it is interesting. It is interesting because you figure that none of this happened. At least that's how I see it. So how are they able to convince somebody like this, which, you know, he seems, just him talking there, he seems like potentially a decent person, but how are they able to convince someone like this to lie about all this stuff? Now, you know, this is the photo, supposedly, which I still don't really understand why the bottom half of the Earth would be dark. Seems kind of strange to me. But, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is most likely wouldn't have been computer generated, but generated in a photo manipulation sort of situation. Who knows how they did it? You've heard of the old double exposure and all that kind of stuff. They could easily have come up with something like this to fake this picture. I don't know whose idea it would have been. Perhaps it was his idea. And it's interesting that they show some of the other grainy photos, like, for instance, this one. To me, this is probably more realistic as to what he actually took a photo of. Because you could get a photo that looks like that if you're in low Earth orbit. Versus what we're seeing there a second ago, where I was showing the crystal clear photo with the moon surface in the foreground and the Earth rise. So I'm thinking that none of it's real, except perhaps this one is, and that they just manipulated whatever they needed to manipulate to create the fake photo that everyone calls Earthrise. Just a guess. Anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting just because I didn't really know who that guy was, and now he's no longer with us, obviously. He just died in his plane crash. No one else on board, though, of course. Just him. And whatever the secret was, it died with him. So it's between him and his creator at this point. So, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of an interesting story there. So let me know what you guys think about it. U.S. forces reinstall Gaza aid pier. They reinstalled it. So I've talked about this pier a few times on this show. It says U.S. Central Command on Friday said that American forces had successfully repaired the pier and reattached it to the coast of Gaza. I thought they just used it for this invasion where the Americans weren't helping. Remember? We just talked about it. To go rescue the captives there, the Israeli hostages. U.S. Central Command on Friday said the American forces had successfully repaired the pier and reattached it to the coast of Gaza. Severe weather off the coast of Gaza late last month damaged the pier, breaking off several sections of it. U.S. forces had to regather the dock sections and repair the pier at the Israeli port at Ashdod. So they're saying here that this pier was badly damaged, and they just now got it fixed, apparently just in time for this hostage rescue. I'm not sure if I buy all that. It says repairing the pier allows American and coalition forces to resume pouring aid into Gaza. And sending in people who will murder plenty of people in Gaza. U.S. Central Command said on Friday. Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh earlier this week told reporters that the cost of setting up and running the aid pier operation turned out to be around $90 million cheaper than U.S. officials estimated it would be, even including some of the costs of repairing the pier. So how about that? They got a deal. $90 million cheaper. I wonder how much the total was. So anyway, just thought that was a little strange too. So the Gaza pier. All right, so People's Voice. I thought this first article here was a bit hilarious. And certainly not true, but one could only wish. If you're facing life in prison for crimes against children, I mean, that would be a headline that you would love to read that was actually true, but this is on People's Voice, which sometimes they do have crazy headlines like that. But I do think a lot of what they put out is pretty good. Although I don't know about that one. Austria's defense minister says NATO has crossed the red line. Vivek Ramaswamy, lunatics in Washington want regime change in Russia. Louisiana outlaws people with men's organs from women's restrooms. Enough is enough. So Louisiana is standing up for the actual women. So I think that's good. The biological women, I mean. All right, Information Liberation. Rep. Thomas Massey tells Tucker Carlson every GOP member of Congress has an AIPAC babysitter. AIPAC babysitter. AIPAC, if you don't know what it is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. That's AIPAC. Massey's saying that every GOP member of Congress has an AIPAC babysitter, which not too surprising, is it? They all love Israel. And by Israel, I mean the little country over there in the Middle East, not the people in the Bible. Two different things. New York Times, Israel tortured and sexually abused Palestinian detainees at Israeli military base. Of course they did. Israeli Defense Forces have been systematically torturing and sodomizing Palestinian detainees at a military base in southern Israel, according to testimonies from released captives shared in a new report from the New York Times. So, but you can't believe them because they're the Palestinians after all, right? For you Trump supporters out there, Trump says Israel needs to finish the job in Gaza and pledges to restore Israel's lobby power over Congress like it's ever dipped. I think it's still there. The very first headline here was, every GOP member has an AIPAC babysitter. And Trump says, finish the job. Isn't that what Nikki Haley said on the love letter she wrote on the bombs that were about to be dropped? Finish the job. Finish them off or something like that. U.S. doctor indicted after reporting child trans procedures. U.S. doctor indicted. The Biden administration has criminally charged a surgeon who exposed alleged secret sex change treatments on minors in Texas. Here he is. U.S. doctor indicted after reporting child trans procedures. U.S. federal prosecutors have filed criminal charges against a surgeon who revealed that a Texas hospital was continuing to perform sex change procedures on children in violation of state law after claiming that it had shut down the program. So he's the one that gets in trouble when they're breaking the law and doing what they're not supposed to do. Dr. Ethan Haim was indicted earlier this week by the U.S. Department of Justice, or the U.S. Department of Injustice, on 4 felony charges for allegedly violating a patient privacy law, which means he better shut up and go away. U.S. President Biden's administration has been threatening Haim with prosecution since last year after the physician leaked documents to a journalist showing that Texas Children's Hospital was still providing sex change surgeries and hormone therapies to minors as young as 11. And this is the quote here from him. They wanted to intimidate me into silence using every technique the federal Leviathan had at their disposal, but they failed, Haim said on Thursday on X. The only way to lose is to submit to corruption. It's time to fight back harder than ever. So he has the right idea here. Haim is scheduled to make his first court appearance later this month. An online fundraising campaign for his legal defense fund has raised nearly $350,000 toward a $500,000 goal as of Friday afternoon. So yeah, says the controversy goes back to May 2023 when Haim blew the whistle on secret sex change procedures at Texas Children's. The Houston hospital had claimed that its gender clinic was shut down following a warning by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton that gender-affirming care, quote-unquote, for kids could be deemed a form of child abuse under state law, which of course it is. Child mutilation. So anyway, he reports the bad guys, and the bad guys throw him in jail. Or they certainly want to. They haven't yet, but they're trying to. winepressnews.com. Congress introduces law that would provide president power to block access to all digital assets. You might be thinking, well, they can't do that. Yeah, well, they are. The president, pursuant to such regulations as the president may prescribe, the president shall prohibit any transactions between any person subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and a foreign digital asset transaction facilitator, the bill says. Earlier this week, a congressman appeared to insert an amendment buried in a must-pass spending bill that would grant the U.S. president sweeping powers to block access to digital assets. Interesting. So yeah, stepping a little bit out of the scope of what the president should be all about. But then again, the Democrats think they're going to be in power forever. This is why they're trying to push this type of stuff. Give the president dictatorial type of powers. The next generation of the Internet of Bodies could meld tech and human bodies together. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Daniel 2:43. Now, I just interjected that. That is not actually in this particular article. However, I do think that we need to keep all that in mind. This is a CNBC article. Key points. Academic and author Andrea Matwishin coined the term Internet of Bodies, or IOB, in 2016. She described it as a network of human bodies whose integrity and functionality rely, at least in part, on the Internet and related technologies. While the IOB's proponents are excited about the advancements it could bring, especially to healthcare, many, including this lady, in her original paper, have privacy and ethical concerns. They're a little concerned. What is the Internet of Bodies? And then there's an article here about what it is. So yes, I go back to the scripture. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, iron mixed with miry clay, but they do not cleave to one another. So anyway, that's on CNBC is where that one is. And this one's kind of interesting.
So all men aged 18 to 26 will be automatically enrolled in the Selected Service System according to a new plan from House lawmakers. Right, this is the federal database used for a military draft in case of a national emergency. And currently, you're required to register, and if you don't, you could face possible jail time, be ineligible for federal programs, or be permanently ineligible for federal and state employment. Though you likely don't even remember ever registering for this, and that's because when you take out federal student loans, you're automatically registered. And in some states, it happens when you get a driver's license or register to vote. However, 2 years ago, they actually removed it from the student loan process, which raised the amount of unregistered people. So instead of facing jail time or complications in your future for not registering for something you've never heard of, they're just going to automate it. With the plan expected to be finalized by Congress this fall, and it's being viewed as a cost-saving measure because there hasn't been a draft in over 50 years. So all men aged 18 to 26.
So there you go, 18 to 26 will be drafted, or at least registered for the draft. But they're actually already drafting them in Germany. They want their war. Anyway, just something to be aware of if you guys have kids in that age range. You know who you are. Or grandkids. So yeah, not good. Not good at all. So that's a YouTube short that I came across. Leading rabbi warns mass exodus of Jews from Europe to Israel may be imminent. Rabbi Menachem Margolin says Europe's Jewish communities fighting for survival, centuries of Jewish life cannot be erased, says Dutch government's anti-Semitism czar. More than 100 Jewish community leaders and pro-Israel organizations heads from across Europe gathered on Monday in Amsterdam for an emergency meeting organized by the European Jewish Association. The purpose of the meeting was to develop actionable strategies to combat the rising tide of anti-Semitic harassment, meaning questioning anything that comes out of their mouths, and hate speech, and has surged since the deadly Hamas terror attack on October 7th, which was a standout. But you're not supposed to know that. He opened the meeting with a stark message, quote, "We are in a fight for the continuation of Jewish life in Europe," he said. So they're saying that there could be a mass exodus out of Europe in order to go back to Israel. So kind of interesting. Does that have biblical connotations? I think it might. Because some of those people, no doubt, may actually be non-Zionists, but many of them probably aren't. So a little of both there. But anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting article. That's on Ynet News. That's where that is. And then this one from the Jerusalem Post. Jerusalem is ours. Temple Mount is ours. Ben Gvir declares amid Flag Day march violence. In total, 18 suspects were arrested during the flag march for violent offenses, assaults, threats, and disorderly conduct. So they're marching here saying that the Temple Mount is theirs. I wonder why they think that. Because technically, I think Jordan has control of it, at least at the moment. So we call on Bibi to be strong. We won't surrender. We won't give up. We won't stop, he declared on a stage in front of thousands of participants in the march. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting because they're claiming, this guy is claiming that the Temple Mount is theirs. What could he possibly mean? Not that they would build another temple there or anything. And I found this one and thought was really interesting. I found a couple sentences in here that I thought were very, very telling and something that I've been saying for a long time. When the Ark of the Covenant is finally revealed to the world, it will be the greatest archaeological bombshell in history. So this is a Michael Snyder piece on endoftheamericandream.com. So he does good work. I like Michael, but I do feel like he's kind of behind a little bit on some of the stuff that's going on. A little late reporting things. I mean, I've been talking about this for years at this point. When the entire planet finally gets to see the Ark of the Covenant, it's going to change everything. The Ark of the Covenant disappeared from history more than 2,500 years ago, and many historians are convinced that it no longer exists. So when it's finally unveiled, it will be the greatest archaeological bombshell in human history. Over the years, there have been a lot of truly outlandish theories about the location of the Ark, and those that have pursued such theories have always come up empty. It's because the true location of the Ark is not a mystery. It is not a mystery. As you will see below, the Temple Institute knows, they say that they know exactly where it is, and I believe them, Snyder says here. And that's something I've been saying for a long time as well, several years. There is no object that the archaeologists would like to find more than the Ark of the Covenant. It was created more than 3,000 years ago, and the tablets on which the Ten Commandments are written are literally housed within it. It says, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, since nobody has seen the Ark in more than 2,500 years, most historians, quote-unquote, believe that the Ark had either disintegrated over time or was destroyed. No, he says, I had to smile when I read that. All of those historians are going to be quite surprised when the Ark is unveiled for the entire world to see. The last time that anyone saw the Ark was more than 2,500 years ago, after the temple was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BC. The Ark completely disappeared from history. I would disagree. I think at least one other person has seen it. His name is Ron Wyatt. Multiple times during the 90s, but he found it in 1982. This is something that I've made videos on, talking about Ron Wyatt's discoveries. But interestingly enough, though, Snyder does not mention Ron Wyatt in this article, which I'm very disappointed that he didn't. But he comes very close to it. He does say, let's see, right here, the Temple Institute isn't saying that they have a vague idea that it is under the city of Jerusalem somewhere. They're telling us that they know precisely where it is hidden, and I believe them. Previously, there have been reports that Rabbi Yehuda Getz was, quote, within 40 feet of the chamber where it is located in 1982. And he doesn't mention Ron Wyatt, but Ron Wyatt discovered the Ark in 1982. So this, again, something that I've made several videos on, and many other people have as well, not just me. So, where is the Ark? He's sort of insinuating here that it's under the Temple Mount, which it's not. It's not. It's in Zedekiah's cave, but it's not too far from there. And if this is something that you find interesting, I'll show you a video here in just a second, or at least link to it. If you find it interesting, you can go there and watch the video at some point. But I thought this was kind of the main bombshell, really, of this whole thing, because for me, this is not new news. This is something I've been talking about for so long. But this, to me, is new news. The Temple Institute, which I've talked about multiple times on this show over the years, the Temple Institute is the organization that will see to it that the Third Temple, when it's built, when the Third Temple is constructed, they're going to be the ones behind it. So on their website it says, because we have always known exactly where it is, so the Ark is hidden, and hidden quite well, but it is not lost. The Temple Institute themselves are saying this. The location is recorded in our sources, and today there are those who know exactly where the chamber is. The chamber. Which is confirming exactly what Ron Wyatt said. And we know that the Ark is still there, undisturbed, and waiting for the day it will be revealed. An attempt was made some few years ago to excavate towards the direction of the chamber. Resulted in widespread Muslim unrest and rioting. They stand a great deal to lose if the ark is revealed, for it will prove to the whole world that there really was a holy temple, and thus that the Jews really do have a claim to the Temple Mount. So kind of interesting, huh? And I would suggest and continue to posit that it will be an earthquake that will reveal this. Whether or not the earthquake is triggered and activated by a tectonic weapon at the timing of those in charge over in Israel, I don't know. But the most important thing here is that they're admitting on the Temple Institute website that they know exactly where it is. It's hidden, and it is in a chamber. Here is the chamber, my friends. There is an artist drawing here on the video that I made. I queued it up. It's on End Times Dates, Take to the Lord in Prayer, Part 8. A video that I uploaded originally on 12/24/2020. So that was a long time ago at this point. And this is a still shot from the video. And again, we'll link to this. It's on my YouTube channel. You guys can find it. It's Part 8 of End Times Dates. Is this God's answer to the mark of the beast? Is the name of it. But what you're looking at here is the chamber. And the person who drew this was going off of Ron Wyatt's direct input. Here's the Ark of the Covenant over here along this wall. And here is the Ten Commandments over here, not inside the Ark. It's over here on this shelf, this rock wall shelf. And this little rectangle right here where my mouse pointer is sitting is the videotape evidence that proves Ron Wyatt is the guy that found the Ark of the Covenant. He is on this videotape sitting here on this shelf in this chamber, to which the Temple Institute has admitted that there is a chamber. They know where it is, and I'll take it a step further. They can't touch it. That's why they won't say anything further than that, because Ron Wyatt has talked about in the past when they've sent teams of people in to go move the ark to a different location, because see where it's sitting underground under Zedekiah's cave is on the Jordanian side. Okay? They were going to go down there and move the ark, and when they did, everyone that they sent down there, the whole team of people just dropped dead. God was not ready for it to move. And Ron Wyatt, they brought Ron Wyatt in because they knew he was the one that found it and that he was the one that could go back there. So they brought him in to go in and retrieve the bodies from the chamber. Well, they didn't even make it to the chamber. They made it as far as down the hallway toward the chamber. And they all dropped dead. And the video talks about this. So if you're interested in the details here, it's right here. So it's a little bit longer video, but it's certainly worth the watch. So you guys should check that out. I thought that was pretty interesting. And the main point here, though, is that I didn't realize the Temple Institute is admitting they know where the Ark is, which is something I've been saying for a long time. So the Ark of the Covenant, when will it be revealed? I think that we're very close to that. Very close. So this is on ronwyatt.com. This is part 3 of the entire story of the Ark of the Covenant. If you scroll down here a little ways, the incredible discovery, expectant after what happened to James, he looked at his watch. It was 2 p.m., Wednesday, January 6th, 1982. Shining his flashlight down through a massive pile of large rocks, his eye caught a glimpse of something shiny. He began slowly removing the rocks one at a time and discovered some dry, rotted timbers, wooden timbers, just beneath the rocks, and then some dry, rotted remains of animal skins that turned to powder when he moved them. The animal skins were covering a gold veneered table with a raised molding around the side, which consisted of an alternating pattern of a bell and a pomegranate. It only took him a moment to realize that this was an object from the first temple. But he was in such a confined space he couldn't uncover the entire table. He later concluded, after closer examination, that this was the table of showbread, which was part of the first temple. And going back to this map right here, the table of showbread is also in here. Here's the lampstand. Table of showbread's right here in this corner area. He even gives the size of it. So anyway, I'll just kind of leave it with you as far as the details here, because I go into quite a bit of detail in the video. And we'll link to this ronwyatt.com article on the Ark of the Covenant too, if you guys want to read more about it, because it really does have a lot of detail. And everything that Ron reported of happening back in 1982 when he discovered it, and then he went back several times after that throughout the I don't know about the 80s, but into the 90s. And then Ron, of course, passed away in like 1999. Pretty interesting, huh? So this is something we've heard a little bit about, I guess. We'll see what happens. Jubilee 2025. 2025. Interesting here. Pope Francis issues new call for debt cancellation. They want to cancel all debt. Sounds a little bit like the Great Reset, doesn't it? Pope Francis has said canceling debts of countries unable to repay them is a matter of justice. I don't think it'll only end there. I think that it will be World Economic Forum. It will be Klaus Schwab et al. And whoever the Antichrist is, which we've already posited from this show and many others that it's King Charles. Debt cancellation will result in digital currency and the Mark of the Beast system being completely put in place. Yeah, Emily says they cancel the debt, they cancel the assets at the same time. Yeah, exactly. And what better way to cancel the debt than to have some sort of nuclear exchange when people, millions and millions of people are killed or vaporized, however you want to put it. Yeah, you'll own nothing and be happy for sure. Yeah, I mean, they could easily do this if they're going to have their war, if they're going to have their nuclear exchange or nuclear war, or whatever it is that happens. Jubilee 2025, though, pretty interesting that they're calling it that in this particular article. So yeah, note the date, May 11th. The call comes in a message outlining the Pope's vision for the Catholic Church's Jubilee year in 2025. So, Jubilee, yep, that's the key though. I mean, when they cancel the debt, they also destroy all assets at the same time because it's all a debt-based economy. All right, so naturalnews.com. Judge orders Steve Bannon to report to prison on July 1st to begin serving sentence for ginned-up crime for which no Democrat is ever prosecuted. No, they get away with it all the time. But not this guy, because he's connected to you-know-who. Federal judge has ordered former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon to report to prison on July 1st to begin serving a sentence. In July 2022, Bannon was found guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for defying subpoenas sent by the House J6 Select Committee. Because of this, he was sentenced to 4 months behind bars. Bannon appealed the case, however, prompting his sentence to be put on hold. But the U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols of the District Court for D.C. ruled on June 6th that Bannon should serve his jail sentence at the soonest, ordering the erstwhile advisor to former President Donald Trump to report to prison on July 1st. The magistrate argued that he did not believe the original basis for his stay of the imposition of Bannon's existed any longer following an appeals court rejecting Bannon's appeal and upholding his conviction. So yes, contempt of Congress. Something I'm guessing Fauci may have just done as well. Just a guess. But will he serve any jail time? No. Will any other Democrats serve any jail time? No. Now, that said, here's what this article says. Rep. Thomas Massey offers a solution to stop Steve Bannon's imprisonment. It's up to Speaker Johnson. So basically he has no hope whatsoever now if you're relying on Johnson. Thomas Massey stepped forward with a proposition that could potentially halt Steve Bannon's impending imprisonment. His plan involves urging Mike Johnson to rescind the congressional subpoena issued against Bannon and to formally disavow what he refers to as the J6 witch hunt. But I don't see Mike Johnson doing this, do you guys? This development follows a recent decision by a Washington judge to deny Bannon's appeal, which we just mentioned. So there is a way out. Doesn't mean it will happen, though, because you're relying on Speaker Mike Johnson, who is in Israel's back pocket, among many other things. Probably also highly compromised. My guess is there's probably something like Jeffrey Epstein type of information on this guy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been put in power. Just a guess. All right. LeoHoman.com. No farmers, no food. Globalist war on food ramping up. Idaho shuts down farmers' access to water. We're all going to fail. The situation in Idaho is truly remarkable, and will we see more water deprivation in the months and years ahead? Why? Because the globalists have long sought to control water resources. It's part of the UN Agenda 2030 strategy, which is really a strategy for the culling of humanity and much tighter control over those who are left. Please watch and share the video below from an Idaho potato farmer. So there's the link here from leohoman.com. And then the next article on his site, video, Joe Biden uses D-Day speech to brag about killing Russians. Joe Biden traveled to Normandy, France on Thursday to join world leaders for the anniversary of the D-Day invasion during World War II. He used his D-Day speech to promote NATO's war of aggression against Russia. Biden probably doesn't remember, but Russia was a U.S. ally during World War II. Without Russia, the Nazis would have almost certainly won that war, and we would be living under Nazi rule today. Russia sacrificed more men in World War II against the Nazis than any other nation, by far. It basically wiped out a whole generation of Russian men who bravely defended their homeland against a massive ground invasion by Hitler's troops. Many Russian civilians also died, and a staggering 27 million Russian troops and civilians perished under the Nazi invasion. Yeah. And Biden's out there calling for war, literally calling for war against Russia. And not even bothering to remember how much of a role that they played in the supposed win against the Nazis. So, yeah, and then that's a question mark too. Maybe the Nazis won World War II, didn't they? You guys know all about Antarctica and all that stuff. It was a Steve Quayle book. I thought it was pretty good. How the Nazis won World War II. I think that's what it's called. PayPal joins growing list of financial firms selling your private transaction data for targeted ad network. PayPal recently announced last month that it will begin to sell and distribute customers' personal and private data, transaction data, to create a targeted advertising network touted as benefiting both merchants and consumers. No, I think it's pretty much just the merchants. Under Armour produces an ad made mostly with AI, sparks controversy as jobs continue to come under threat. New ad from Under Armour featuring boxer Anthony Joshua has come under fire from creatives on Instagram after its director claimed it as the first AI-powered sports commercial, but critics in the industry say it blatantly reused others' work without credit as part of an AI hype cycle cash grab. So I can't really show it to you guys because it's a commercial, and even though it would just be from a news standpoint, one time I tried to show an Apple commercial and YouTube flagged it. So they might do the same thing with this particular Under Armour ad, but you guys can go watch it if you want. But yeah, they used AI to produce the video, which, not too surprising. says director Wes Walker posted the spot along with several variations and riffs on Instagram earlier this week, saying Under Armour asked us to build a film from nothing but existing assets. In other words, other people's copyrights, other people's music and everything else. The 3D model of Anthony Joshua and no athlete access. This piece combines AI video, AI photo, 3D, CGI, 2D visual effects, motion graphics, 35mm film, digital video, and advances in AI voiceover. Every current AI tool was explored and pushed to the maximum. So, anyway, actually doesn't say anything about music here. So all the visuals, the music, I don't know. Wish they could do that by AI as well. See if it says. Just talking about the footage. Music composer is a separate person, yeah. And music supervisor. See, this is something that I don't really work on major commercials like this, but I do music supervision. And have been involved in helping to helping to find music that is used in commercials and things like that. So, yeah, and this is definitely right up my alley as far as that goes. And AI is taking over everything like this. So, not good. West Hollywood mayor says his favorite part of the Pride Parade is seeing all the kids as naked men dance down the street. In a world like today, to have this right now, front and center, we need it now more than ever, he said. He would be wrong. Says, some things shown in this article may not be suitable for all audiences, like me, or like most humans. But they're big into their pride, aren't they? They are so proud. They're so proud they're going you know where. They love it. Just because they're wallowing in their sin, that's why they're so proud. What was it that took Satan down? Cops in Vermont stage a fake shooting with high school students, but they did not warn them in advance, leaving them traumatized. We didn't realize the demonstration would happen without warning or a chance to properly prepare students to understand what would be taking place, school officials said. Could you imagine? There's going to be some major lawsuits here, I'm guessing, because these kids have all been primed, and parents too, everyone. They've all been primed for this to be reality now. School shootings, right? The Burlington Police Department has issued an apology. They're sorry to students following a controversial high school presentation that involved a mock shooting. Did you believe this? This is crazy. Department officials released a statement on Thursday about a recent presentation given to Burlington high school students who were part of the year-end studies, or YES program. They're going to be saying no now, aren't they? According to police, the presentation utilized fake firearms to simulate a shooting. The Burlington School District said that about 20 students in a forensics program witnessed a realistic demonstration during their trip to the Burlington Police Department on Wednesday in which members of the department enacted a crime involving a shooting. While the gun was fake, the enactment involved screaming and fake gunshot sounds. His kids were probably soiling themselves, I'm guessing. Taking place without warning and behind where students were seated. As a result, some students believed the demonstration was real and were left feeling scared and confused. You don't say. Anyway. Nice job, Burlington. Vermont. You would have thought that they would have thought that that might scare some people. Let's take a look at the Gateway Pundit. We've got a few articles pulled up. Not too many from there, just a few. Teens arrested after scooters leave marks on the Pride crosswalk. Yep, of course. 3 people were arrested after a so-called Pride crosswalk was damaged in Spokane. The LGBT symbol had been repainted recently after liquid was poured upon it and was set on fire in mid-May. Interesting. But on Wednesday, 4 people riding Lime scooters were seen riding over the mural repeatedly. Lime is a company that rents electric bikes and scooters. So yeah, vandalism is what they're saying. They put marks on the pride flags. Yeah, you can't do that. That's their religion, after all. When confronted by witnesses, the scooter riders refused to stop and cursed at the witnesses, according to the court documents, so they weren't too sorry. One witness said the teens were intentionally making marks on the mural while the scooters they were riding. Intentionally, yes, of course, I would say that's probably the case. Yep. So it sounds like. Officers observed widespread damage as black scuff marks, consistent with scooter wheels, were observed across the entirety of the mural. Well, that's what happens when you put a mural down on the ground on something known as a street or a crosswalk. So, but yeah, these kids, they're going to get the books thrown at them. So, especially if they're not kids of color, is my guess. If they're white kids in particular. So we'll see what happens. It says on Friday, Lime, the scooter company, released a statement condemning the incident and said it will make the mural area a no-ride zone. So they were really upset that their scooters were used to do such damage and inflict such sorrow on the LGBT community. Whatever. All right. Busted. California Governor Newsom caught charging U.S. taxpayers for illegal alien health care. He's been caught charging U.S. taxpayers for the health care bills of the state's illegal alien population. According to local media, Newsom filed nearly $53 million worth of reimbursements that the state now must return to the federal government. California owes the federal government $52.7 million after it improperly requested reimbursements for services provided to non-citizens. Yeah, I wonder if they'll get it. A review conducted by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Inspector General's office revealed that California employed an outdated calculation method. No, it's called scamming. For claiming federal reimbursements between October 2018 and June 2019. So that's not even with this current influx of Biden refugees. Wow. All right. So anyway, that's on Gateway Pundit. New crime wave hits NYC. Illegal migrants deliberately jumping in front of cars to extort money from terrified drivers. New crime wave has reportedly hit the streets of New York City as illegals are deliberately jumping in front of moving cars to extort money from terrified drivers. New York Post has reported on this disturbing trend where migrants brazenly risk their lives in an attempt to financially exploit unsuspecting drivers. Illegal aliens have escalated their dangerous scam, particularly in Brooklyn's bustling streets. Dashcam footage obtained by the Post vividly captures one such incident on Flatbush Avenue South. The video shows a migrant deliberately leaping into the path of a car, forcing the driver to make a hazardous swerve to avoid a collision. So be prepared. The video is right here if you guys want to watch it. It says they're just scaring people. You just hit me, I'm going to report you if you don't give me money. So that's the whole scam here. So they're jumping out in front of the cars so that they get hit, but then they're demanding money. So, another scam. Yeah, Gruesome is another one who needs to see the inside of a jail cell for a while. Yes, a long while. Exclusive image from Nashville trans shooters manifesto. Killer wrote about Columbine mass shooting and death of her trans self, Di Aiden. I thought she was supposed to be Aiden. Anyway, another manifesto release, apparently, from the Nashville shooter, Audrey Elizabeth Hale. If I can read it here, it says, I need a trans doctor, is what it says. This female gender role makes me want to not exist. And then something scribbled out, and then it says, to be completely gone in physical form, off the face of the earth, Di Aiden, says. Well, she got her wish. Yeah. Chilling manifesto of Covenant school shooter Audrey Elizabeth Hale, biological female who identified as a transgender male at the time of her horrific attack on March 27th, 2023, was leaked again on Friday. I think this is a new piece to the puzzle, though. Yeah, Tennessee Star confirmed on Wednesday that it had obtained nearly 4 dozen pages of Hale's writings from a source familiar with the investigation. So it says the March 11th, 2023 entry revealed her intense desire to possess a male member. Hale's diary entry begins with the title, "My Imaginary Male Member," and includes a crude drawing. She says, her male member exists in her head. I swear to God, I'm a male, she says. Wow, she was seriously delusional. Anyways, here's additional pictures here. Talking about Columbine. So that is one article. There's actually more than one. I hate to subject you guys to it, but I thought we'd at least look at the headlines. Transgender psychopath killer Audrey Hale reportedly used federal Pell Grants funds to purchase weapons to kill children. Wow. Tennessee Star reports that Hale purchased 7 guns with grant money, 3 of which were recovered from the scene of the crime. So she used federal Pell Grant funds to purchase firearms and training. But you don't hear Biden out there talking about that. Nashville Covenant school shooter trans manifesto leaked. Transgender killer Audrey Hale wrote about her imaginary male member and how she would kill to get puberty blockers. So again, more of this has been leaked. I don't really know why this is coming out now, but anyway, there's 3 different articles there that I found on it. All right, mid-air horror. You know what I'm going to say next. Boeing. Flames erupt from Air Canada Boeing jet during takeoff. Seems like every week we're talking about how terrible Boeing is. Which, I mean, they are. If they're letting this kind of stuff happen all the time. In a terrifying event caught on camera, flames were seen shooting from an Air Canada Boeing jet during takeoff, forcing the plane to make an emergency landing. Incident involved flight AC-872, which was en route from Toronto to Paris late Wednesday. Video shows a shocking moment when flames erupted at the aircraft's wing fuel tanks just after it left the runway.
Holy crap! Got an engine fire! Holy shit! That's a compressor stop. Holy shit!
Wow. So it's not fly the friendly skies anymore, it's fly the fiery skies, I guess. Boeing, they're doing good work, aren't they? California restaurants have slashed 10,000 jobs since Democrats introduced the $20 minimum wage. Restaurants across the state of California have cut at least 10,000 jobs since Democrat lawmakers mandated a $20 minimum wage, according to a major trade group. According to California Business and Industrial Alliance, thousands of restaurant workers have lost their positions as businesses are forced to cut labor costs and raise their prices in order to survive. Yep. But Democrats would have you believe they're treating everyone so fairly and that the businesses should pay up. That's not how business works. I'm sure, most businesses out there would pay their employees $1 million a year if they could, but they can't. And $20 an hour is a lot for a minimum wage. It's pretty steep, even for California. So yeah, it's no wonder. Nothing but class. Watch Caitlin Clark respond to news she did not make the Olympic team. Shame on the 5 selfish women who crushed her dream and ruined the games for millions of Americans and their sport. And what do pretty much all of them have in common? My guess is DEI. Just a guess. On Saturday, it was announced that women's basketball sensation Caitlin Clark would not be included on the U.S. women's basketball team in the 2024 Olympics because they really want to lose. And they probably will. The greatest collegiate player in history who broke nearly every men's and women's basketball scoring and assist records while at the University of Iowa was excluded from the Olympic team. But pot-smoking Brittany Griner, who has only played one game and scored 11 points this year, made the team because her skin color was right. Griner, by the way, is a guy. I don't know if you guys knew that little detail. But Brittany Griner is a man, according to the Russians. Now, what do they know, right? They are the Russians, after all. But yeah, when Griner was in Russian custody in a Russian jail, they put out on the newswire that, in fact, he is a guy. Brittany Griner is a guy, not a girl. Talking about these 5 people. Here are the 5 women who made the insane decision to keep Caitlin Clark off the 2024 Olympic team. Was this a racist decision or just jealousy? Well, it was a little of both, but they think that if they do racism, it's totally fine. They just don't call it that. They call it fairness. Yeah. So anyway, my guess is they will not win. Just a wild guess. Boston Celtics coach silences the room with a single powerful response to race-baiting question. So, I'll let you guys hear this. I thought it was pretty good. In a press conference that should have focused on the Boston Celtics strategies from Game 2 of the NBA Finals against the Mavs, the discourse took an unexpected detour into identity politics thanks to a question from Yahoo Sports. However, the coach wasn't playing along. So it says, the question is, for the first time since 1975, this is the NBA Finals with 2 black head coaches. Given the plight sometimes of black head coaches in the NBA, do you think this is a significant moment? Do you take pride in this? How do you view this? Or do you see it at all? Okay? So I'll set that up with the question, and you can hear his response.
Hey, Joe, Ben School with Yahoo Sports. For the first time since 1975, this is the NBA Finals where you have 2 black head coaches. Given the plight sometimes of black head coaches in the NBA, do you think this is a significant moment? Do you take pride in this? How do you view this, or do you not see it at all?
I wonder how many of those have been Christian coaches.
Oh, man. Wow. I wonder how many of those have been Christian coaches. That was his response. That is classic. Who cares about the black thing? Because it doesn't matter. So good for him. So this is different article, but same idea here. I just mentioned this from Gateway Pundit earlier. This is on Activist Post. 10,000 California fast food workers McFired thanks to $20 minimum wage. So old Ron's not too excited here. They've been McFired. So way to go, Gavin Newsom and company. The abstract, episode 33, chemtrails equals death. Highly credible evidence shows that what is constantly sprayed from jumbo jet aircraft is devastating us and our environment. From the last 2 installments of the abstract, we have learned that we are being sprayed with coal fly ash. That plus a lot of other stuff. Now the question becomes, what does that do? The answer to that question is already well established. Chemtrails cause death. For the full story of chemtrails and geoengineering, please buy and read the author's book. And then, of course, they want you to buy the book. Well, there's a video here. I don't know exactly what that's about. But they're talking about coal fly ash being part of the geoengineering program, which that's probably true. I would say that there's really no doubt that that's true. However, there's more to it than that. As far as coal fly ash, forget about coal fly ash for a moment, though. Simply breathing in any kind of particulate matter is very bad for humans. This is not a matter of debate. Common sense and many studies show this. Inhalation of fine particulate matter is associated with Alzheimer's disease, risk for stroke, risk for cardiovascular disease, lung inflammation and diabetes, reduced renal, which is kidney, function in older males, morbidity, and premature mortality, decreased male fertility, low birth weight, onset of asthma, and increased hospital admissions. Due to extreme toxicity, coal fly ash is much worse. It says it contains a variety of potentially carcinogenic substances, including aluminosilicates and iron oxide containing magnetic fraction, several toxic trace elements, nanoparticles, and alpha particle emitting radionuclides. Silica, arsenic, cadmium, and hexavalent chromium are found in coal fly ash, and all have been associated with increased lung cancer. So, now that is a post on activist post, and then if you want more information as to what some of what's being sprayed, some of the toxic stuff that's being sprayed on us, definitely check out The Dimming. If you haven't already seen this film, this is something that Mr. Dane and a lot of us helped put together, and this is a really good film. I feel like really tells the story well. The Dimming, full-length climate engineering documentary. So much of that is talked about in this film. Totally free and on geoengineeringwatch.org. So definitely check that out. We'll link to that in the Substack post as well, but you can find it on the homepage of geoengineeringwatch.org. Deceased Democrat wins New Jersey primary election. No, it wasn't Biden. A state representative in New Jersey, Donald Payne Jr., died of a heart attack just weeks ago, but that didn't stop him from winning the nomination for his New Jersey seat again. Payne was the only candidate on the ballot in the district's Democratic primary despite dying in office on April 24th. 65-year-old passed away after March 25th filing deadline, blocking a vacancy committee from replacing him on the ballot. Heck, if dead folks can vote Democrat, why can't they run as Democrats? However, New Jersey will not allow the deceased man to serve in office. Why, I wonder? Because, Biden is almost there. And special election is being arranged now. 11 other Democrats are all vying to replace Payne. Says, I'm glad that New Jersey is going to replace the recently passed representative. I'd hate to give anyone in D.C. any ideas about how to keep Biden in office for 4 more years. Well, that's a good point. Anyway, that's on notthebee.com. Died of a heart attack just weeks ago. I wonder why. New Yorker finds $100,000 in $100 bills while magnet fishing. Magnet fishing. Says this is a magnet fisherman's dream. James Kane has fished all sorts of junk out of New York City's waterways using a magnet, including bicycles, guns, grenades, more guns, and jewelry. Did I mention the guns? But finding stacks on stacks of $100 bills in a safe has to be his best find yet. Yeah. Couple says they found safe containing $100,000 while magnet fishing in New York. His girlfriend thought he was kidding when he said their lives were about to take a dramatic turn. She was filming as Kane pulled a slimy safe out of a lake in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, and found bags of damaged, waterlogged Benjamins inside. The couple estimated this safe had about $100,000 in cash. The bills had a 3D security ribbon showing they were pretty recent, but the safe didn't have any hints about who it belonged to. Says they called the police to report what they found. The cops said there was no sign of a crime. Yeah, it was just a safe full of money in the bottom of the lake. That's funny. Says they gave it to us. I guess you call it a finders keepers thing. Although some of the bills are probably too damaged to recover, they are planning to take their wet cash to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Washington to see how much they can get back. So you can see some of the bills. The money would deteriorate more with touch. Wow. You can see some of it's kind of liquefied there. It is paper after all. With the newfound wealth, the couple has some big plans. They intend to invest in a new vehicle and upgrade their content creation gear for their YouTube channel. Let's get magnetic. That is funny. I would think, though, that, I mean, they're in New York. I would think that the money would need to go to the illegals. That's who it deserves the money, obviously. The illegal immigrants. All right, that's on nottobe.com. And one more from there. Google's doodle on the 80th anniversary of D-Day is honoring war vets, right? Nope. It's a lesbian feminist activist on D-Day. You would think on D-Day, Google would be celebrating World War II vets, right? Well, you'd be wrong. D-Day happens to fall on one of the 30 days of Pride Month. So the soldiers don't get a spot on the Google Doodle. A gay feminist does. Yep. So that's Pride Month for you. Anyway, bravo, Google. Bravo. And speaking of which, here's another bit to the story that we mentioned earlier about the teens in the crosswalk. Children charged with hate crimes for scootering on Pride crosswalk, but pro-Palestinian protesters get off scot-free after lobbing smoke grenades in front of the White House, vandalizing Lafayette Square. So we have protected speech on this side, no arrests, protected speech, and hate crime with teens charged with felonies for putting scuff marks on the Pride flag that's on the ground. A pair of videos going viral on social media show the stark contrast between how the law is applied to how it is applied on leftists versus conservatives in Joe Biden's America. Yep. Hate crime versus protected speech. Joe Biden's America. Yep. We know. Globalism, what we're told it is, and what it really is. Yep, that kind of says it all. Now, this is a follow-up to the article that I mentioned last week about the knifing incident in Germany where several people were stabbed. Well, the police officer that was stabbed in the neck did not make it. Police officer stabbed by Afghan migrant dies from his injuries. Reuven L., this guy here, mistakenly targeted the wrong suspect during frenzied attack. And that could be what happened. The video is here, although everything's really blurred out in that video, so you can't really even see what's going on, but you may have seen it already. This guy is basically just, he's got his knee on an innocent bystander here, and he is holding him down whilst the actual person right here committing the crime with the knife in hand is to his left, and he's not even seeing him. And then you can see the blade right here. So, and then he stabs him, and this guy apparently has just died from the wounds. So it's very sad. But it looks to me like either this guy really didn't pay attention to what was happening, because it was pretty obvious this guy was doing the stabbing. So was this guy holding down this person here who was not armed? Was he holding him down to prevent him from stopping this guy so that he is able to continue the rampage? I don't know. My feeling is, after watching this, that they only killed this guy with the knife because he stabbed a cop. I don't think that they would have shot him otherwise. But they did. And this guy right here died at the scene. This guy right here died from the knife wounds recently. Very sad. Anyway, it is very peculiar, though, the whole thing. That's on modernity.news is where that one is. All right, the other articles on vaccine impact. Has a new golden triangle emerged to keep American and Israeli Zionist aggression in check. Golden triangle. I guess that would be China, Russia, and who? India, maybe? Anyway, yeah, it says he covers a lot of history from non-Western and pro-Islamic perspective about the relations between Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Russia, and China. He refers to Iran, Russia, and China as the emerging golden triangle in Eurasia. So it's Iran, Russia, and China. Interesting. First genetically modified pig kidneys transplanted into humans. Financial success for science, but deadly for humans. So it turns out humans aren't supposed to have pig kidneys. They should have asked me. I could have told them. Let's see. Catholic Church is going bankrupt as families abandon the church to protect their children from pedophile priests. I think I mentioned that one last week. And then here's the Nikki Haley signing the bombs that are about to be dropped on civilians. Finish them, she says. So those are all articles on vaccineimpact.com. And then let's see. GeoWatch for this week. Godfathers of Climate Chaos. Geoengineering Watch Global Alert News for June 8th. Destruction more severe than nuclear war. What is weather warfare? From WION News. Hurricanes are now so strong, scientists want to introduce Category 6 storms. From IFL Science. Question, are these two headlines connected? Inseparable? Biosphere collapses here and the controllers are more desperate and dangerous than ever before. What cards will they play next? So here's Global Alert News for this week. And I'm trying to think. I think we kept it the same across the board here. It's the same on all the different platforms. YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute. And then Spotify as well. So that is GeoWatch for this week. And then scheduled weather for this week. The old NOAA Climate Prediction Center. Looks a lot like that. So that's what we have coming up June 15th to 19th. Above normal. It's going to be hot pretty much everywhere in the, I guess, eastern half of the U.S. for the most part. Above normal. Only below normal out west. Extreme out west. Northwest. So anyway, that is the scheduled weather coming up. And then, let's see. We mentioned Ron Wyatt earlier, and I just wanted to touch on this as well because I found this article on Israel365news.com. Christians more interested than Jews in location of Mount Sinai at center of Shavuot holiday. So this is an article talking about the location of Mount Sinai, which is wrong. But this is the official site for Mount Sinai, as in the biblical Mount Sinai, right here. So this is where they're celebrating it. This is where they think it is, in Egypt. So that is where they're showing this fortress here and the mountain behind it. It's now a World Heritage Site and UNESCO site. So that tells me it ain't the real Mount Sinai. God hid the real Mount Sinai. But you know what? He imparted the knowledge to Ron Wyatt. Ron Wyatt found the real Mount Sinai. And in this article from his site, which I will link to in the Substack post, you can read where it is. And there's a video here, actually, about it. And it's not where they say it is. It's not here in Egypt. It's actually over here in Saudi Arabia. So here is the traditional Mount Sinai place. This is where all the official people, including UNESCO and the World Heritage Foundation or whatever, this is where they say it is, but they're wrong. Ron Wyatt found the real one. It's right there. And keep in mind, too, we talked about the line and, the smart city that's going to be developed there. Shorter than what they originally intended, but the line runs right through here. Saudi Arabia in, I guess that's northwestern Saudi Arabia, right here. So anyway, it's interesting that the actual real Mount Sinai is on that property, essentially. But that's the place that Ron Wyatt found, and then here's the traditional site. So you can see they're close, and yet so far. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting, and thought I would point that out again. I think Ron did some unbelievable work. All right, So that is the end of the articles. So don't switch off yet, though. We got a couple other things to go through, and I wanted to show you guys some tweets before we call it a night here. So anyway, but here's the Substack page. If you're not already on it, please sign up to that. It is totally free, and there's a mechanism there to contribute if you so choose, but no pressure at all. There is a way to do it, though, through Substack, as also there is a way through the shop.thediamond.report. That's an option as well. I don't have a page pulled up on that right now, but there are some pretty cool products on that site if you're interested in shirts and mugs and hats and things like that that have the Diamond Report logo on them. There, it is available. As far as the Twitter postings, let's see. We'll just go through a few of these. These are all things that I found recently and tweeted or retweeted on my Twitter account on there, the Diamond Report, and it's the Diamond RPRT on Twitter. The Diamond RPRT, which stands for report. Okay, let's see. Says, alert, Bill Gates and his WEF globalist parasites have persuaded Aldi, you know, the grocery store chain, to sell insects to the masses. Aldi. So if you're Aldi shoppers, get ready. The globalist parasites continue to dehumanize humanity in their push to make the masses into peasants while they act as our overlords. Yeah. So anyway, watch out for Aldi. Aldi introducing edible insect kits in the UK. In the UK. And then tweet from Chase Geyser here from InfoWars. They aren't shutting down InfoWars because of anything we got wrong. They're shutting down InfoWars because of everything we got right. Yeah, that's kind of an important little factoid. Notice how similar the metrics are on all three posts. Programmed engagement. The likes are fake, the replies are fake, the reposts are fake, the votes are fake. This is when Joe Biden tweets something, he gets all these likes and retweets, and it's all bots, most likely. Thought this was kind of funny. Declaration of Memes, which is a Twitter account, I guess. Why you shouldn't invade America, and it's got the whole map here with all the different people on it. Backwoods people who still know the old ways is listed here with the circle around it. Pretty funny. And then right under it is rednecks, swamp hunters, contractors, gangs, people who wear shorts in winter in the Maine area. So Nazis up here, up here in the D.C. or in the Washington State area. Pretty funny. So yeah, that is on Twitter. Let's see if there's anything else here I wanted to mention. Pride Parade taking place in Tel Aviv with estimated 250,000 people in attendance. Meanwhile, people are dying. World governments are hemorrhaging money. The CIA is profiting off of dangerous MCMs, and Hunter Biden laptop was confirmed in court to be true, to be real. And they're having gay pride parades because that's what they do. An accurate portrayal of the current state of the U.S. government. Thank God California banned plastic straws. Yep, it's a good thing. It's worse than you think. Epstein's Rape Island and pedophilic cult running are your government. Pedophilic cult running your government. And then, sure, I'll settle that science for you. Yep. Kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Anyways, let's see what else we got here. We got the Diamond Report on Rumble. So if you're not on Rumble, you should be, because that may be where I end up doing live streams to exclusively at some point. Only if they kick me off of YouTube permanently, which they may do. They may do that. So far, so good, though. I've had my share of battles with YouTube over the years, but at the moment, we're able to still be live streaming on YouTube somehow. But note that I will have to delete this video as soon as I'm done tonight. So you won't be able to rewind it and go listen to it because it will be gone in a matter of moments. So I would point you over to my Rumble channel, though. So please go subscribe there if you don't mind. Rumble.com/user/DiamondDisc is where it is. And if I remember right, that's where I have my URL, thediamond.report, pointed to. So if you just go to thediamond.report, not .com, .report, you will also end up on this very page. So you can subscribe there. And then BitChute, Diamond Report on BitChute is also Diamond Disc, DIAMONDISC. It's my company name. So that's why it's used across the board on most of these different accounts. Brighteon, same thing. Diamond Report on Brighteon, Diamond Disc as well. And then Band. And hopefully Miss Emily, yep, she posted the link in chat on Rumble. I see it. And probably did on YouTube as well. So feel free to join the Band group. It's growing very slowly, but it is growing. And it's a group of friends who are interested in truth from a biblical standpoint and strive to put Jesus Christ first and foremost in our lives. If you're not doing that, you should. And you're welcome to join anyway. Doesn't matter. But yes, you definitely should. So that's the Diamond Report on Band. Free group and free to join. Band.us is a good social media platform. I did not develop it. I've had some questions about that over the last few weeks and stuff. No, I did not develop Band, but I did discover it through a friend of mine, and I think it's a really good platform. They don't censor the content, which is why I use it. Unlike Facebook, who censors nearly everything these days. So anyways, that's it for me tonight, I guess. We've got one more video for the way out. It's called A Word to the End. I think will be a big thank you to everybody who maintained their status and a sort of a tip of the hat to you. So anyway, I thought we would call it a night for tonight. We've had a lot to go through and tons of articles, it seemed like. So last week we went really, really long, and I was able to cut down the show some, but it was still well over 3 hours, which I don't really want to do. That's sort of reaching the limit of what people will put up with, I think, as far as my particular show. So thank you guys for being here tonight. We'll plan to do it again next Sunday night, which would be the 16th. So June the 16th, and we'll meet back up here again starting at 10 p.m. Central Time, and we'll do it all again, and we'll probably see lots of additional craziness coming up this week. So yes, God bless you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I certainly appreciate it. Lots of fun, interesting stuff to talk about. There's never a dull moment, is there? Feel free to stay in touch with me if you want. You can leave comments on any of the videos, or you can go through the Band app, the Band website, to leave comments for me as well, comments or questions. So you're welcome to do that. And then obviously the Substack option is a good one too. That you can leave direct comments on there as well on any of the posts that I do. So God bless you guys. Take care. Have a blessed week, and we'll see you guys again next week.